Hey, everybody. You can help us make Chris DeMakes a podcast even better by telling us a little bit about yourself. Go to surveymonkey.com/r/JDZ3HL7 for a quick listener survey. It only takes a couple minutes and it helps support our team. To show our appreciation, we're giving away 2 $50 gift cards to lucky participants every single month. Head to, go ahead and grab a pen, surveymonkey.com/r/JDZ3HL7 now for your chance to win.
When you think about businesses that are selling through the roof, like Skims or Allbirds, sure, you think about a great product, a cool brand, and great marketing. But an often overlooked secret is actually the businesses behind the business, making selling and for shoppers buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. It's home of Shop Pay, the #1 checkout in the world. You can use it to boost conversions up to 50%, meaning way less carts going abandoned and way more sales going through to checkout. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout Allbirds uses. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/income, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/income to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/income.
Well, hello there, loyal listeners of the show. This is the 6-year anniversary here at Chris DeMakes a podcast, and we got a doozy lined up for you. Today's guest is Dee Snider, lead vocalist for the Long Island, New York heavy metal band Twisted Sister. Together, we break down the writing, recording, and inspiration behind the hit single, I Wanna Rock, taken from their 1984 full-length album, Stay Hungry. Dee has been in the hot seat here once before in December of 2021. And he was just as animated and awesome this time as he was the last. Dee went into full detail about his songwriting process, going into the writing for Stay Hungry, how he would hum endless ideas into a cassette player, mumbling guitar parts, words, melodies, and hooks, then would later sit down and try to decipher it all. I Wanna Rock was one of those mumbling ideas on one of those cassettes that became one of the band's biggest songs. Producer Tom Werman wanted to leave the song off the record, as he didn't hear a hit, and true to Dee's nature, he fought long and hard for it, believing in his heart that what he was feeling for the song would definitely translate to others. And do you know how many times the word rock is sung in I Wanna Rock? No? Well, stick around to find out.
Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast. Hey, hey, have you heard? Chris DeMakes a podcast.
All right, Dee, I can't believe it. I don't know where the time went. You were last here December 20th of 2021, almost 4.5 years ago.
Yikes. Yeah, where does the time go? Can I just address the elephant in the room, please?
Yes, please.
I'm not dying. I'm saying that to people who are listening. I'm not dying. I mean, you mean never? No, not never. But I when I announced I was retiring for health reasons, it just went worldwide. Dee Snider's on his deathbed. I'm like, what? No. It's not that kind of thing. It's just physically, I'm not where I'd like to be to do the kind of show that people would expect from me. And I don't want to be one of those guys, and I'm not going to name names. I've been trying to stop being an asshole, but I don't want to be one of those guys who's out there and there's all these YouTube clips being posted of them, too fat, too old, no voice, and just embarrassing themselves. And it's not a judgment on them, and it's actually not a judgment on the audience, because we're such heroes to our audience.
Yes.
And they come and there's an expectation of something that they want a piece of their memory. They want a piece of what they knew. I read a review of a Twisted Sister. I may have told you this before, Chris. I read a review of a Twisted Sister reunion show back the first time. And it said, when reunions are good, they make you feel young again. And when they're bad, makes you realize how old you've gotten. And he said to his sister, made him feel like he was 19 and, and what have you. But I get that. I remember going to see UFO when they reunited back in the early 2000s, I think it was. It may have been the 90s. I'm not sure when it was. Michael Schenker, Pete Wade, the original guys. And they still looked good. And they were rocking. And I was like an idiot kid. I was just, I'm like, lights out, lights. I'm losing my mind. And people going, hey, aren't you Dee Snider? Shut up. I'm watching the show. And I remember the next day they were playing in an hour away. And I said to my wife, I want to go see him again. And she's like, you're going to travel to see the band? Because that's what we used to do. Mm-hmm. And I traveled to see them the next night because it made me feel good. So anyway, people, my dad's 95, and my mom, bless her heart, she was in perfect health when she got hit by a car, unfortunately, in her late 80s, and but she was on her way to 100. And I just not only want to live that long, but I want to live it well. And I don't want to just smoke my tires in the parking lot, so to speak, showing off of my friends, and then have no rubber for the rest of the journey. That analogy, my son gave me that one and it spoke to me.
No, I mean, you kind of said it online too. You said it was believable in what you're sharing right now. And the feedback was incredible. Everyone's like, you have nothing to prove, buddy.
Yeah. Surprisingly positive, getting a lot of Mad Dope props. And there's been some other people who have stepped away from the stage recently. And I don't know if it's because of me, but all of a sudden, you just hear more and more people saying, I can't do it, or I'm done. Or in the case of Ginger Wildheart, if you know the Wildhearts.
I know. He's got cancer,
He's literally, but he's making a life choice to stay on that stage to the bitter end. Lemmy Kilmister did the same thing. He was on stage. He did a show, I think it was 2 weeks before he died.
And you've always been, and you've said this before, you looked at this like you were going into the Super Bowl. You were fit, man. Go back to 2015. I saw you. You had a six-pack. You're on stage running around as a 60-year-old man.
It was an 8-pack. And I just want to say, somebody said it to me. Believe me, this decision to leave the band and to cancel the reunion shows that were being planned was the toughest decision of my life, period, bar none. Brutal to go through that. But one of my people I spoke to said, dude, last time you were Twisted, you took your shirt off. You were 175 pounds. You had a 29-inch waist. You had abs where you shouldn't have abs. He said, and that was filmed, recorded, photographed. It's all over the internet. Do you really want to go back with a 34-inch waist at 210 pounds and one ab? I ain't taking that shirt off. I'll tell you now. People say, oh, you look great. Yeah, there's degrees of great. We all know how great. I'm not shirt off, running around the stage great. I look good for a 71-year-old dude. Okay, so I said, you know what? That's it. I'm going to leave people with a memory, and I'm sorry to disappoint anybody who was disappointed, but you just got to do what you got to do,
Yeah, and look, how many athletes? I mean, there's not many Tom Brady's and Nolan Ryans. These guys can play into their 40s in sports, and you took this about as athletic as you can get. Go back to '82 Reading Festival. Go watch you guys play there. I mean, you were a maniac, okay, and you kept that up through your whole career.
I've always been, and it's it's funny. I saw Elvis documentary the other day, and he said, the music makes me move, and I said, I get that because I have been a mover running around since I started playing in bands. And just the doctor said to me, the funniest thing was he looks at my x-rays. He goes, do you jump around much? And I said, yeah, it's kind of what I do. He goes, well, you're done. He literally said, you're done. He said, you got nothing left. You're bone on bone. And yeah. I'm a lot of discomfort. But when I get up there and start jumping around, it really hurts. I would go up and do 2 or 3 songs. And I may still do that. I go out with Bret Michaels or people invite me up.
Sure.
Even though it hurts for 3 songs, it's worth the pain. But for 90 minutes, I can't do that. And I said, can you just sort of stand there? I go, I'm not Willie Nelson, man. I'm not Willie Nelson, and I'm not ever going to be that guy. So no, I can't just stand there. I couldn't stop myself. That's the big problem. And
Yeah.
I'm telling you way too much. We didn't even get there. I know we're here for the I Want to Rock, and we will discuss. I've got no clock on this for me. I got my hip replaced, So, and that was brutal. Took months. I was in pain for months and months. I was on all sorts of pain. I don't do drugs, all sorts of painkillers. It was a dark period. Got through it, and my hip was great. And I was like, man, all right. And I went out with Lita Ford. She invited me to come up and sing some songs. I was like, yeah. I get on stage. I go, holy shit, feels good. Yeah. Bounce, bounce, bounce. Left knee went out. Went 3 bounces, left knee went out. I limped off the stage, went to another surgery. I was like, all right, I see where this is going.
Yeah.
I couldn't help myself because it's everything about it is a trigger. It's an emotional trigger. The lights, the audience, the song, everything just is designed to fire you up, the audience and me. And I couldn't help myself. I just had to immediately start seeing how far I could take it. And then I screwed my knee up. So anyway,
I listen. I'm laughing rhetorically. And I'm not laughing at you. My gosh, everything you're saying, I got goosebumps because this song we're going to talk about in a minute. That's all about what you're talking about. It's what the music does to you. And I always admired you. No drinking. You were staunch about that. I read about that in Hit Parader and Circus in the 80s when I first started following you. No drink, no drugs. The music is what makes you go insane. Maybe a little coffee you shared
and coffee.
too.
Thank you for clarifying that. I don't want to lie. The band. I'm sure some people have heard this. Twisted Sister almost fired me for being too caffeinated. My first band meeting, and I was so excited for the first band meeting because I was the new guy. And we went to JJ French's apartment in Manhattan, and I'm a rube from suburbs. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to JJ's place. And go in their first band meeting. I'm feeling so official. I sit down, and I realize the other 4 guys are sitting across from me like a firing squad. And they said, dude, you got to cut back on the coffee. And I said, what? I said, the coffee. You got to cut back. I said, wait a minute. One of them it's 11 in the morning. One's got a beer in his hand. The other's got white powder under his nose. Another one's going to an AA meeting. As soon as we're done with this meeting, he's going to a meeting. And I said, let me get this straight. My caffeine addiction is interfering with your drug and alcohol addiction. Is that what you're telling me? And they said, dude, you're driving us insane. So yeah, I was a bit fired up by coffee.
Oh, no. And everything. I followed your whole career. I know you know that. I mean, you always been a family man. You've been married to your wife for over 40 years. I love that. Children and grandchildren, and you've been such a great example to them. For everyone listening, go back to that episode because we broke down We're Not Going to Take It last time with Dee, and I gushed and told you all about how I found the band. So maybe you start there before you dive into this one. But Dee, I want to jump into to I Want to Rock, which was the second single from Twisted Sister's third album, Stay Hungry. Album was released May 10th of 84, and the single was released in October of 1984. I Want to Rock is the 5th track out of 9 on the album. And last time, we had talked about Tom Werman. I've seen some interviews. He's the producer of the album from you, as well as other bands. And I know you weren't very happy with him last time. I looked for a demo of I Want to Rock. I could not find one. I did find one last time for We're Not Going to Take It. When did this song get written? Do you remember in the process of Stay Hungry?
I do. And, and being that we discussed We're Not Going to Take It, and these from the same album, the same period, there may be some repetition in things I say, but I got to assume different people are listening, so I don't want to assume they know everything, every golden word that's ever come out of my mouth. So I got to back up, and I said this before, but I'm blessed with creativity that is on tap. I can sit down, whether it's writing, whether it's songs, whether it's books, whether it's screenplays, whether it's anything. I can sit down and I open that tap and I hyper focus and start processing and start coming up with ideas, strong ideas, and songs, in this case, songs. And I learned I had to shut that tap off because I was constantly thinking of songs. But by the time I got back to my apartment to put it down on tape or pick up a guitar, I forgot the song. So I'm like, damn. So I never think, if I start thinking of songs, don't think about it, never think of songs. But when it comes time, I go into my writing process. And these were all written in 1983. I was always, and this was a huge, the history of Twisted Sister, this is a side part of this, would be completely different if my process had stayed true to itself all the way into after Stay Hungry and through Stay Hungry and into subsequent albums. And I'll explain that in a minute. When we would be recording album whatever, I'd be working on the next album. There's so much downtime. So when we were recording Under the Blade, I was literally, because we were recording that in a barn, on a farm, in a van, working on the songs for You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. When we were doing You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, I was working on the stuff for Stay Hungry. And that changed. That changed because of Tom Werman. Mark Mendoza's job, the bass player, was he sat in the studio and sort of co-engineered, co-produced, not officially, with our producer, whoever it was, or Pete Way on Under the Blade, or Stuart Epps on You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. He was our guy in the control room. So I didn't have to worry about it. There was a lot of dissension about agreeing to use Tom Werman because he wasn't really a metal guy. He had success with metal bands, and he had success with our band, but he wasn't a metal guy. And Mark Mendoza refused to be in the studio. So I had to be in the studio, being the protector of what is Twisted Sister. And there was many a time I felt like, I was literally fighting for our lives to keep our credibility with Tom Werman's sensibilities. He was not a heavy guy. He actually literally told me, when I asked him straight out, honestly, if he would have signed us when he was an A&R guy, he said, honestly, no. And I appreciated the frankness. But so you're partnered with a guy who didn't really see your value. I think I told you in the past that I gave him the music for Stay Hungry, those songs and others, and he brought me Saxon songs.
Yeah.
And said, check these out. I think they'd be good for you. I'm like, wait a minute, this is Saxon. Long Arm of the Law. I said, yeah, I know it. It's Denim and Leather. I know it. He goes, great songs. I said, they are great songs. We just toured with them. He goes, yeah, but they're not that big in the States. Nobody's going to know. I said, our people are going to know. I'm going to know. And I love Biff Bifford and all the guys, but no, we're not playing Saxon songs, which was Twisted Sister. So here's a guy who did not get us, okay? But the point is, when I doing Stay Hungry, I should have been working on the music for our next album. It would have been very different because if you look at the timeline, when we were still broke when we did Stay Hungry, we were hungry. We were not successful. So I would have been writing from a place of just struggle and just that true sweet spot that we needed to be in. Instead, when I wrote Come Out and Play, I was sitting poolside, multi-million-dollar house, 5 cars in the driveway, 2 boats. I'm sitting by the pool getting a tan, and I'm trying to write the next teen anthem about angst. And I'm going, I got nothing. I am happy as a clam. I got all my dreams have come true, and I'm trying to dig deep. Okay, that's not where I needed to be coming from for Come Out and Play, and is reflected on the album, quite honestly. So now moving back to Stay Hungry. So I am writing songs for the next album because we already have working on You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, like that music's being demoed and sent out to the record company. So now I'm writing. So I would write in like bursts. So my wife was going out to the grocery store to get dinner. Suzette, by the way, we celebrated 50 years since we met last week, which is just insane. I mean, what a partner, shoulder partner in crime, hair, makeup, costumes, the Bone logo. That's all Suzette. I mean, like the
top 5 Twisted Sister songs. You're not alone. Suzette's song.
Thank you. And
that's awesome.
The woman behind the monster is 5'3", 110-pound, hot Italian chick, but just so talented, and just forget about that. Anyway, she's going to get dinner to cook. My son Jesse is sleeping. I got like 45 minutes because we lived in town, so he's just going to be down to the store. I said, all right, good time to do some writing. So I worked off of a list of song titles. I used song titles to inspire me. When I get a song title I liked, I jotted on my list. And then I would pull out that list, turn on the tape recorder, and just start looking at the song title and get inspiration from the title for the feel, for the that would be the first thing. Like, what's this song going to feel like?
Yeah.
All right. And in that 45 minutes, I finished We're Not Gonna Take It, which I told you I had written the hook in 1980. It wasn't until
Yes.
83 that I wrote the rest of the song. Every song on Stay Hungry, the only one that wasn't written then was The Price, which I wrote when we were recording You Can't Stop Rock and Roll, and I was away from my wife and son for 4 months straight, and I was just heartbroken. And in the bathroom of Jimmy Page's studio, I had a brain fart for a song called The Price. And actually, because J.J. French's sister-in-law called up, and she said, "How you doing?" And I picked up the phone. She said, "How you doing, Dee?" I said, "I'm really missing Suzette and Jesse." He said, "Well, I guess that's the price you have to pay." And I handed JJ the phone, and I grabbed my recorder, and I went into Jimmy Page's bathroom, and I sang in my little handheld recorder The Price and created The Price. Wow. That's the only song on that album was written prior. Or every other song, Burn in Hell, I Want to Rock. If you just name the song on that record, not Shoot 'Em Down, SMF, all those songs in 45 minutes, open the faucet. That's not every single part of it. It's like the basic song, the basic word structure, the melody, that all comes out. And often a few words, the hook, of course, will come out, and maybe some few words for the verses. You know, I remember Turn It Down, You Say. That, when I was writing, turn it down, you say, now, say, now, no, nah, nah. That was the kind of thing. But I remember, okay, turn it down. So I would use those words that just flashed in my head. I would always use those first couple of words to launch me. You know, so with I Want to Rock, and I'm sorry if I'm answering all the questions you have, and just feel free to jump in.
This is perfect.
So I'm going down the list. I'll get to I Want to Rock, and I'm going, what do I want this feel to be? And my brain had said, I love writing anthems, and I Want to Rock needs to be an anthem. But if I could combine the Iron Maiden gallop that they had with an anthem, a metal Maiden gallop, because Maiden were just loved Maiden. We were sort of coming up together. Interestingly, they're celebrating their 50th anniversary too. They formed the same year that we formed. Swiss started in 1976, and Maiden started in 1976. So and
you were direct support for them on their Power Slave tour.
Yeah,
for Stay Hungry.
We were more peers than, but you could be a peer of mine, and I could still love what you do. And Maiden, I think this stuff still holds up. I think most of the 80s stuff doesn't hold up well. But Maiden, man, it stands the test of time. But be that as it may, so I said, I love that Maiden gallop. If I could write a song with an anthem with that gallop, it'll be a hit. I could have a big hit. So I'm looking, I Want to Rock. I go, okay, I want that Maiden gallop. So I'm like, and that's I'm grooving, and I'm using, at that time I had a reel to reel. A lot of times I just use a handheld, and I want to rock, bam, I want to rock, and I just start singing the song, and it comes out whole. And the songs, when they come out like that, you often look at them and going, all right, is this somebody else's song? Because this is really good. And but you know what? And the thing is that in 45 minutes, I probably went through about 25, 30 song titles and laid ideas. The next step in the process would be, so I remember Suzette coming home with a grocery bag and going, she said, how's it going? I said, I did a little writing. She said, how'd it go? I said, I think I got some good songs. And and I said to her, and that was, I did, when I went back, and then I would play the tape. And now this is what I would use plane flights for. Everybody else on the plane, they're tedious, long flights, 8 hours, especially overseas, intercontinental flights, long flights. They'd be watching movies, running around, joking around, drinking, partying, being rowdy. I was sitting there with my headphones on, with my tape recorder, listening to my tapes. And these things, by the way, my tapes are not loud and proud. They're very like under my breath. So I'd be kind of like
3 a.m. when your baby's sleeping.
yeah. Like exactly. I didn't want to wake Jesse up. So I'm like, I want to run, believe it, I want to run. And I go back. Now I'm listening to what the hell was that? Okay. Oh yeah. And then I would go through the tapes and mark down the numbers on the whatever the show where they were, and keep a book and say, okay, here's the good ones, here's the better ones, pull them out. And then I would start developing the chosen. And I would usually submit 15 songs to the band or 20 for each record. And up till Come Out and Play, again, another, pointing a finger at myself here, another major flaw in that process was up to that point, it was a democratic process. I was a songwriter, but we would demo everything, and then everybody would take the tapes and they would listen, and we'd vote. The crew would vote, management would vote, the record label would vote, everybody in the band would vote, and we decide what songs did everybody like the best, and those were the songs. When I got to Come Out and Play, I was a megalomaniac. Nobody was telling me anything. I'll tell you what songs we're doing. I didn't ask for anybody's opinion on anything I did. I just had it with having to ask people's permission. I felt I had proven myself, and I shot myself in the foot. But we're not talking about Come Out and Play. But so there was maybe 15, 20 songs that we demoed, and some of them have popped up on the demos. And JJ, he manages the band post heyday. And I've often said we were like the Tupac Shakur of heavy metal. I mean, he would put out so many variations and, Club Days 1, Club Days 2. I mean, I would listen to those things mortified because I listened to Club Days 1 and go, no wonder we couldn't get a record deal. And these were my songs. I was like, we were terrible. We were terrible. I had not mastered the craft yet. And by Stay Hungry, I really had mastered the craft of songwriting, and it is a craft. That's what people don't realize. And it's something that you get better at. And once the band started happening, some of the guys would come up with a song. They'd not been writing their whole lives, and they present a song, and we would demo it, democratic society, demo it, and be thrown in with my 20 as songs. And now I've been written hundreds of songs by this time. So, and their stuff would never get picked because it was amateurish, because they had not spent the time. By the time I got to writing Stay Hungry, I knew song structure. I had studied great song structure. I had studied other Def Leppard song structure and Maiden song structure. Everybody's Motorheads, whatever. The bands that were successful and great, there's a reason they're successful and great. It's not just because they're great players. That's optional. Having great songs. The only reason we know Eddie Van Halen better than Jeff Beck is because Eddie Van Halen had the songs, so we got to hear his stuff. Jeff Beck is a legendary guitar player, one of the game changers of guitar playing, but he never had that band or that song on the radio where people got to hear, wow, did you hear him on Eruption? Did you hear his Eruption? Believe me, he did his Eruption. Jeff Beck has an Eruption. Beck's Bolero. He's got his own thing out there, but nobody ever heard it because he was a eclectic guy, constantly changing bands, changing band members, no consistency. He even walked off tours. He didn't have that out there on the road, hitting city to city to city, banging people with his playing ability. So you have to, and I'm saying this to the young songwriters out there, is a book out, 10,000 Hours. I don't know if that's what it's called, but have you heard about it?
I've heard that if you want to master a craft, I don't know who came up with that number, but I heard it's 10,000 hours, and I know you've put triple that in or more.
Yeah, well, it's a book about it. Whether it's as a basketball player or a guitar player or an actor or a writer of anything, you have to master the craft. And they did some calculations, and it's roughly 10,000 hours of. And when I looked at my career and realized it was true for me. When I said, I go back and I hear those early demos, I go, oh my God, these were the early hours of me learning and mastering the craft. Even as a performer, Twisted Sister did like 2,000 live shows before we had a record deal. Just 4 or 5 sets a night, 5 nights a week, 10 years. Okay. And when people saw us live, they go, man, how'd you learn to talk to a crowd like that? How'd you learn to perform like that? Well, I've been doing it in bars for 10 years. And believe me, if you're watching show 1, that's not the Dee Snider you would have seen.
Right.
That's not the Dee Snider you saw, Chris. That was a fledgling Dee Snider with an idea, what he wanted to do, working it out and figuring out what works, what doesn't work, And I said, how'd you learn how to talk to an audience like that? I said, free beer night on a Memorial Day weekend. I mean, you better rock and you better rap your ass off because this crowd is going to eat you alive. This is how you learn your craft.
Especially the places you were playing across the seaboard, all the way from Jersey, Long Island up to New England. I mean, I know what you were dealing with, and this was high party time in the mid '70s. Somebody
said to me, I heard that you once played. They got the story wrong. Born to Be Wild, for a biker who was upset or something. I didn't have time. It was Twitter, and I just can't fit that story. But what happened was there was somebody in the audience, curse being belligerent, and I don't take shit from anybody. So I'm like, shut your motherfucking mouth, blah, 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 blah. Now, we're on a bar stage. The lights are right in my eyes, my face. I can't see who it is. Lights go down. I see 2 gigantic Hells Angels holding one massive Hells Angel back who's trying to get at me from the audience. And because I just called this motherfucker out.
Yeah.
So I turned to the band. I said, Born to Be Wild. Now, this one's for all our bikers, brothers and sisters out there. It's Born to Be Wild. Bam, 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 bam. And I see the 2 smaller giant bikers holding the gigantic biker, and they're punching him in the arm going, listen. And he goes, dan, 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 dan. We played Born to Be Wild 3 times that night because he kept requesting it. And I remember we finished the night and we're walking off, and he grabs my ankle as I'm walking off stage, my spandex clad ankle. He goes, Born to Be Wild. Encore? Nobody called for an encore. One more. We come back out on stage. Like, one more. We come on stage. I said to the audience, we got a request for Born to Be Wild. Everybody sees it's this Hell's Angel. Like, everybody comes back in the bar. All right, one more time. Bam, 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 bam.
I think that's why you were so fierce when it came time to hit the arenas. It's like nothing scared you. You'd already seen it all.
Thank you. Yes, exactly. I've been face to face with death, and I've thrown down many, many times. But people were shocked. They said, "How would you get that ready?" 10,000 hours, whether it's on the stage or it's in rehearsal or it's jamming or it's writing or it's just 10,000 hours that time put in.
I'm glad you said that. A lot of young bands, and I know you hear this all the time still, and you throughout your whole career, younger bands, how'd you do it? How did you make it? They say, or this and that. And they'll start showing me, and now they just show you their webpage, and I'll go to it like, okay, their merch looks great. The website looks great, but the songs aren't there. How do you sell all this if you don't start with the song, And that is so important. What you said, when you went back and listened to Club Days, you didn't even realize in your mind how bad it was. It had been so removed from you, but everyone has to start somewhere.
Exactly. And I feel bad for the young artists in the fact that everything, I just got a Google alert that Clay Aiken was going to be on Celebrity Apprentice with Dee Snider. That was 2015. Now, first of all, why am I getting a Google alert now? Secondly, that stuff's still on the World Wide Web. It's still out there forever. I know. So when everything you're doing, where those songs we played and we were demoing and they were bad, they weren't on albums. We wish they were, but they weren't on albums. They weren't out there. People are posting everything because they think everything they do, and I thought it too. I thought, I'm the next Beatles, man. I thought every crappy song we were demoing, I would have done the same thing, but they're putting it online. They're putting it on their Facebook page. They're letting the world see it, and it never goes away. There's no AI clearinghouse that's getting rid of the old stuff and putting it in some storage container. Nope. Your embarrassing shit will be out there forever, man.
There's no internet wart remover, D.
No, there is not. And there needs to be. It's unfair. It shouldn't be there. It's unfair to us. I shouldn't be getting notified about Clay Aiken from 10 years ago. Come on, man.
Oh, my gosh. Well, one little quick fun fact before we jump into I Wanna Rock. Do you know how many times, and I thought this was ridiculous, but I pulled this fact up. A radio DJ said he counted that was 78 times you say rock in the song. And I went and counted it, and damn it if it's not 78.
So I have this side project from time to time over the last 25 years called Yukon Cornelius. And it's me and a bunch of jam band guys. People from Dave Matthews, Bare Naked Ladies, NERD, Guster, and we go out and we do covers and we have a great time. And we were rehearsing, and I said, is the reason you guys never use the word rock in any of your songs because I used them up? And, I killed that word. I just hammered it into the ground. I think anybody coming after me is going to feel like, yeah, well, it's kind of played out now because Dee Snider really just wore it out.
I didn't go and look, but I'd be hard pressed to think there's another song out there that says rock in 3 minutes more than you guys did. It's insane. The song is 3 minutes and 6 seconds. D, there's no tambourines, there's no keyboards, there's no harmonies, there's no vocal harmonies, there's no piano, and there's no acoustic guitar in this song. This is the five guys. And before we jump in, do you recall the basic tracks? And I can't remember if I asked you this last time. Were you guys kind of all in the same room, isolated, recording the basic tracks, and then overdubs were done after?
No, at that point, I think Def Leppard, what was the producer's name? Producer's name again?
Mutt Lange.
Mutt Lange. He had really had an effect on people. I mean, the stories we came into to record Under the Blade at Cookham Studios in England right after they had spent a year in the studio finishing Pyromania. A year. Mm-hmm. And the engineers were telling us how Mutt had recorded for one chord, each string on a separate track to create a chord. And so this kind of infected the world at this point. So everybody was in there. I mean, I guess the guys may have been playing guitars. Yeah, I mean, okay, when we laid down the drums, but drums were laid down and guys
and then you'd build on top of that.
Yeah, and we build on top of that. And then bass was laid down and the guitars were laid down. But there would have to be some sort of guide for AJ, may he rest in peace, for him. So, yeah, so they were playing there. I don't remember singing. Maybe I did. I'm sorry. I'm so vague on it. I just remember it wasn't what, because this was our first big album, you know?
Yeah.
Really, well, Can't Stop Rockin' was pretty big. But even then, and I was kind of disappointed because I'd seen the movies with the Beatles and I'd seen all these movies and I thought everybody was in the room, like, you know,
right.
And I thought
Partridge
that's what was going to happen. And then all of a sudden, it's like, no, everything's separate and you're all going to be on tracks and in separate rooms, and none of that, you know, real rock and roll was there, unfortunately. But that's the way it was done.
Okay. Well, again, the song 3 minutes and 6 seconds. You know, we start out with the chorus, which is brilliant. And as I combed through this yesterday and again this morning, I noticed that, you know, the song starts off with the chorus exactly how the chorus comes in for chorus one. And what I mean by that, had to do, I wanna rock. And then you're in. And that's what the song is. It's, you know, you're basically, the intro is the chorus, but I never realized that till I got to the pre-chorus the first time, which we'll get to in a moment. And I'm like, oh, they stopped there. It's a reset. And that's when Dee says, I want to rock. And that's what the top of the song is. I want to rock. We get those big gang vocals. We get 4 rocks after each time. Drums, bass, and stereo guitars here. And Dee, the snare has a crazy slap delay on it. It goes away when the verse hits, but it's the weirdest slap delay on a snare I think I've heard in an 80s metal song. Do you remember when the mix happened with that? Was that a Tom Werman thing?
I just want to back up one thing. I want to rock, starting with the chorus. In other songs we've done, like We're Not Gonna Take It, it was decided to take the chorus and open with that. You know what I mean? But that was a conscious, like this. I didn't write the song that way.
Oh, okay,
I wrote the song verse. I did write the chorus first, but when I was figuring out the final song, and then we say, okay, we're going to open up with the chorus. I Want to Rock. It just, when I was sitting there going, okay, I want this Maiden groove, and I just want an anthem. I don't know, I want to rock, and it just came out as the first, as a gunshot, the starting gun. You know, I want to rock, and then go. So that was just as written. I opened up with the chorus, which I never did before. So that was there.
Cool.
As far as that snare drum goes, it was empty in my mind, right? That after that, I want to rock, that I want to rock. Like, and I didn't have any singing to go there. I didn't have any answering part. I wrestled with that, and I had the idea of an echoey drum. And Jeff Workman was our engineer.
Yeah.
Tom Werman, Jeff Workman, who's really the brains behind, because Tom Werman said straight out, I don't write anything. I don't touch the board. I'll just tell you if I like it. That's right. I'll tell you if I like it. So Jeff was my go-to guy, and what a blessing to have him. I mean, he worked with Roy Thomas Baker on the early Queen albums.
Black Sabbath. He did a bunch of
Jeff
stuff.
Workman was all those albums, Bohemian Rhapsody. He would, during downtime, he'd tell us stories about Freddie coming in, first of all, coming out of the closet during that album, but also coming in with a new idea every day. Like, I got a new idea. And then Scaramouche, they go in and just get building and building and building. So, but he was brilliant. So I said, I'm thinking like it's a cannon shot, you know, back out,
right,
back out. Like, you know, when you're a gunshot or a cannon fire. And so he played with it. And he said, you mean like this? And that's where that came from. I want to ride, back out.
Yeah, it's got a cool feeling to it. I can't describe it. I've never really heard it in another song. Sure, I've heard delays on snares, but this is a big feature in a chorus of a song. One more thing before we move on. You know, during this time period, radio programmers, they like the song to start. For instance, We're Not Going to Take It. Bum, 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 bum. The drums start that, and then your vocal comes in.
It's called the walk-up. And I've been doing radio for 35 years now.
Yeah, and who am I talking to? You know this.
Yeah, but you're telling the audience. It's called the walk-up. And it's kind of when you get good at DJing, you use that lead up where the music's just playing and you talk over it. Saying, they're out on the road right now. We're going to see them. And if you're really good, they call it hitting the post. So that's the walk-up, hitting the post. And when you're first trying it, I'm doing my first metal show, and you're blowing it, and you're stepping on the vocal. You're going, oh, man, I blew it. But when you get good at it, you hit the post. So what's your question? Like, the
question is that there's no walk-up here. So radio programmers didn't like that. And a lot of times I remember record labels would say, hey, can we come up with a keyboard or an intro or something here before your vocal comes, or a guitar chord ringing out? Was there ever that discussion from the label wanting to release it as a single?
You know, no, there wasn't. And I didn't know radio back then. I do it a little, actually. I realized, I was like, oh yeah, you did. I got talked to my parents and my girlfriend at the time, not Suzette, that what was they going to do as a fallback if rock and roll didn't happen. So they talked me into going to college. And I said, what am I going to major in? And I said, well, you know, if I can't make music, I'll play music on the radio. I'd like to be a DJ. So I went to majored in communications for 1 year, and I worked at the college radio station. And one of the things we learned about the walk-up, we learned about hitting the post, but we also learned about getting the record ready. That you don't want to have any of that space where it's spinning blankly. You can. It's like it's probably where they got what do you call it with rappers with a record? Ticka.
Oh yeah, the scratching. Yeah,
you would turn on. It was LPs, and you would turn it on, and you'd find right the spot, and then you'd either hold it and go, "This one's Twisted Sister, blah, 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 I want to rock, I want to rock," or "Sing it, Dee, I want to rock," and you hit it, and that's how they do it. So good DJs knew how to set the record so that it would hit right on the post, even if it wasn't a walk up.
Turn it down, you say. Well, all I gotta say to you is time and time again, I say no. No. Tell me not to play. Well, all I gotta say to when you tell me not to play, I say no. No. So if you ask me,
turn it down, you say. But all I gotta say to you is time and time again, I say no. Tell me not to play. Well, all I gotta say to you, when you tell me not to play, I say no. Cool stuff in here. The stereo guitars ring out as the bass and drums continue, and the stereo guitars come back in on those gang vocals, on the no the first time and on the no the second time. This, of course, I'm calling this a double verse, as is verse 2, but it's pretty literal here. And sometimes literal lyrics come across as, I don't know, phony or contrived, but man, I still believe every word you say here.
So growing up, listening to bands and my heroes, there was many, Led Zeppelin were a band. Alice Cooper were a band. Alice spoke to me on a very personal level. His lyrics were real. They were direct. When he's saying I'm 18, I'm a boy and I'm a man. I'm 18 and I like it. Nothing fancy about it. Robert Plant, who I adore, was singing, "There's a lady who show all that glitters is gold." What the fuck are you talking about? I had to go read friggin' Lord of the Rings to understand half of his songs. Literally, because he and Gollum and the evil Maud crept up and slipped away with what? What? Speak to me, man. Talk to me. Alice Cooper. Damn. Straight between the eyes, just straight talk. So he was a big inspiration for me lyrically. And, and I'm cut to the chase. I Want to Rock was just like You Can't Stop Rock and Roll. It was one of these statement songs really directed at all the naysayers in my life. And one of the big ones was my dad. And as portrayed in the videos, walking in that room, and if you listen, when the We're Not Gonna Take It video, the kid is listening to I Want to Rock on the stereo. He's listening to I Want to Rock when his father takes the needle and goes right off the record on it. So this was, I knew the song was one of my statements to my dad and to people. I have very few people. Suzette is on a list of like 2 who never told me to give up. Never, ever, ever said, maybe it's time to try something else. I mean, after 10 years, it only makes sense for someone to say to you, maybe you're barking up the wrong tree. But you don't want to hear that. You do not want to hear that. All you want is people who are going to say to you, it's going to happen. Keep believing in yourself. And I had Willie and David Hauser, these 2 twins who were best friends of mine, and then who used to give me jobs in the landscaping crew when I needed money, and Suzette. When I wrote down that title, I Want to Rock, it was really one of those titles like thinking about, just somebody must have just for the billionth time say, maybe you should try something else. And I was like, no, I want to rock.
oh, it's the price we gotta pay, and all the games we gotta play. Makes me want.
Hey, everybody, don't go anywhere. We got lots more coming up with Dee Snider after a few words from our sponsors.
Looking to elevate your music career? DistroKid is a digital music distribution service that enables musicians to distribute their music to online stores and streaming platforms such as Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon, Tidal, and many more. DistroKid collects earnings and payments, sending them to you, the artist. With DistroKid, artists unlock a world of possibilities. From easily paying collaborators with splits, to securing your music with DistroLock, DistroKid covers all bases. Plus, you can promote your releases with Hyperfollow and create eye-catching visuals with the Spotify Canvas generator, all for free. But that's not all. Introducing the DistroKid app, now available on iOS and Android. Artists can manage their releases, view streaming stats, and withdraw earnings, all from the palm of their hand. And for those looking to perfect their sound, check out Mixia. With its simple interface and customizable mastering options, artists can make their music sound polished and professional within minutes. And don't forget about Instant Share, DistroKid's newest feature. Share large files securely with collaborators, producers, and more, ensuring your music streams at the highest quality. Ready to take your music to the next level? Download the DistroKid app and explore their suite of tools today. Plus, listeners can enjoy 30% off their first year by visiting distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes. That's distrokid.com/VIP/DeMakes.
Athletic Brewing Company crafts award-winning non-alcoholic beers for those who want to be part of every round. With over 185 flavor awards, they're exceptional NA beers that fit your lifestyle and any social occasion. Summer's full of good times, and Athletic fits right in. Go to athleticbrewing.com to have brews delivered to your door, or find them at a bar, restaurant, or store near you. Near beer. Athletic Brewing Company. Fit for all times.
You thought this was your Run Club era. Turns out, it was more of a thinking about Run Club era. The good news? Someone's marathon training is about to start. Sell your workout gear on Depop. Just snap a few photos, and we'll take care of the rest. They get their race day fit, and you get a payout for trying. Someone on Depop wants what you've got. Start selling now. Depop, where taste recognizes taste.
The right window treatments change everything. Your sleep, your privacy, the way every room looks and feels. At Blinds.com, we've spent 30 years making it surprisingly simple to get exactly what your home needs. We've covered over 25 million windows and have 50,000 five-star reviews to prove we deliver. Whether you DIY it or want a pro to handle everything from measure to install, we have you covered. Real design professionals, free samples, zero pressure. Right now, get up to 45% off with minimum purchase, plus get a free professional measure at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions apply.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You know those friends who support your preference for podcasts over music on road trips? That's the energy State Farm brings to insurance. With over 19,000 local agents, they help you find the coverage that fits your needs, so you can spend less time worrying about insurance and more time enjoying the ride. Download the State Farm app or go online at statefarm.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Hey friends, Chris DeMakes here. If you love Chris DeMakes a podcast and you'd like to help us continue bringing you great episodes each week, please take a minute to check out chrisdemakes.com. That's where you'll find our Patreon. Our Patreon supporters get instant access to hundreds of episodes of The After Party, our weekly bonus episode that people have raved to us about for years. You can also get ad-free, early releases of each week's episode of Chris DeMakes a podcast, as well as unedited video versions of the show. Even if you're not sure if you want to sign up, you can go to chrisdemakes.com and sign up for a free account. We'll throw you a free preview episode here and there. We can't thank you enough for all the support. And if you have a few extra bucks and you want to help us keep the lights on, our Patreon is the way to do it. Head to chrisdemakes.com to learn more.
And now, back to the show.
I feel like you were foreshadowing here too, Dee, without even knowing, because the PMRC thing happened like in 86, a couple years later. This pretty much says everything against them. Turn it down, you say, but all I want to say to you is time and time again, I say no, and that always I always thought about that. I'm like, wait a second, this song came way before any of that, which I thought was cool.
It did. And I think it's interesting. as I told you, when I write this thing, I'm like, humming in my tape. I want to rock. Yeah. All right, and I get to the verse. Turn it down, you say. All I gotta say to you is that no, right. So now I get to this multi-syllabic line. All I got to say to you is time and time again, which I don't have. All I have is that a bunch of notes. If you see this on a page written out, it's like 16th notes, or maybe 30-second notes. I go, oh my God, what am I going to put in there? Rapping hadn't been invented yet. So, and somebody said to me, that was rapping before rapping, and I'm not saying that I inspired rapping by any means. I'm just saying it was a lot. So how did and I sat there and go, and I just figured out the words, and all I got to say to you is time and time again, I say no. Every time all I got to say to when you ask me how to play, I say not to play. I say stop. Whatever I said, I don't know how I came up with it, but yeah, that was a challenge to fill all those notes with a syllable.
I'm pretty good at singing fast and enunciating. I've gotten good. I put in those 10,000 hours as we were talking about, but I still can't sing, and we'll get to it in a minute. The second line from the second verse.
I just want to give you one more story. We always played faster than the records. Sometimes, if I had a pot or two of coffee in me, we were at like lightning speed. And I remember getting to one night in concert, we were playing I Want to Rock so fast, because I don't know, maybe my drummer was coked out. When it got that, at that part, I just went and it says, turn it down, you say. Well, I got there, turn it down, you say. No, I literally went because I couldn't get the words out. And Eddie O'Jay looks at me and goes, what the hell did you just do? I'm going, I couldn't get them out. It's too fast.
It's like Ethel Merman having a seizure.
I know.
It's that line. I was trying to sing it this morning, driving down the road. I took my kids to school, and I cranked it up. I always do that. Whenever I have a guest coming on, I crank the song up. I still can't sing that line. Pre-chorus 1.
So if you ask me why I like the way I play it, there's only one thing I can say to you, I wanna rock.
So if you ask me why I like the way I play it, there's only one thing I can say to you. And we know what's coming there. It's the chorus. The whole band hits this staccato-like march here, stopping on the word you, so Dee can once again set up the chorus, much like the top of the song. Yeah. It's awesome. Also, and this is interesting. Usually this happens in the chorus. It sounds like you're a singular voice in the verse, but like a double comes in here on the pre-chorus. Do you recall if you did any doubles?
Doubling was a thing, and we were doubling. I thought funny, in later years, I never doubled at all. But it was just like everybody doubled their voice, and you went in there and you did it. It was really annoying. So I think this is a Jeff Workman decision to pull the double, to add it for effect, because I remember doubling every song, hating every minute of it, and because you and me have both heard, and if people don't listen to music like we hear it, but I hear hit records, and the doubles aren't even close to each other. They're
awful.
Oh my God! I mean, if you want to go to some of those punk records, go to the Damned, A New Rose. Oh my God, he's doubling his voice, and it's like not even in tune. And what a record, New Rose. Anyway, but
well, yeah, but I think that holds up with what I was saying here. I think that I know you can sing well, and you could obviously sing well with yourself. That I really struggled to hear if it was a double. So I think if there is a double, it does come in here though.
They had me double everything, and then in the mixing process, Workman may have played with it just for effect, Well,
we get back into the chorus, of course, at 48 seconds. I want to rock with that big gang vocal rock.
All right, I got to tell you another story.
Oh, please, let's do it.
It's related to the song. So when I wrote the song, and I talked about this in my memoirs, and Eddie O'Jay knows it now. I didn't tell him at the time. I had the idea was it was going to be, and gang vocals were going to just hit rock together.
Oh.
And there'll be no answer rock. So I want to rock, bah, 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 bah. And that would go on as a musical interlude longer. And Eddie, when I was relaying it to him, he goes, I'm on a rock. He goes, rock, right? He goes like, then they come, and I go, yeah, that's it. That's the idea I had. Yeah, and we do the answer rocks. So I was like, ooh, that was a good one. So I didn't tell him at the time, but years later I admitted that answering is because Eddie misunderstood what I said and repeated it back to me wrong. So it worked out well.
It wouldn't be the same song, though.
No, it would not.
No, that space is crucial, and that gang vocal is so powerful. We settle back down into verse 2, and this is that second line I was talking about. I just can't get this one out. It does not want to come out.
There's a feeling that I get from nothing else, and there ain't nothing in the world that makes me go. Go, 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 go. Turn the power up. I've waited for so long so I can hear my favorite song, so let's go.
There's a feeling that I get from nothing else, and there ain't nothing in the world that makes me go. Go, big gang vocal. Go, 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 go. Turn the power up. I've waited for so long so I could hear my favorite song, so let's go. Go, 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 go. Same overall instrumentation as verse 1, but the no's are now replaced with goes.
Yeah, that's pretty slick. I don't know how that came about exactly, but I'm listening to the words and realizing I'm not in the band. I'm a fan. I've waited It's, I want to rock. Me wanting to rock came from being a fan. That my parents just didn't understand rock. It wasn't of their generation, and I want to rock it. That it is a statement. What we do, Chris. We rock, but it's also as a fan. We go out and we rock. We go to a concert and we rock. The audience rocks. We rock. I want to rock. I waited for so long. Turn the power up. I've waited for so long so I could hear my favorite song. This isn't my favorite song. It's the one that I'm hearing in my mind. It's the one that I'm going to the arena to see. It's one I'm going to the theater or the club. The band I'm going to see. I want to rock with them as a fan. That's it. And I think that spirit. I was speaking for the audience. Because when they sing those words, I've been waiting for so long so I can hear my favorite song, so let's go, So anyway, I got chills. I didn't realize I was so smart.
So I think sometimes we put our heroes on pedestals. And at the end of the day, we remember that, wait a second, they were just music fanatics like we were, most of them, right?
First and foremost, it's why we're there. When I become people who have relationships with who are fans of mine, they talk to how weird it is sometimes. It strikes them that we're friends. And I go, I get it. Because I'm friends with Alice Cooper and I'm friends with Robert Plant. And these posters hung over my bed. I bowed every night to Robert and Alice. And, and this is a strange place to be, but we were fans first. It's why we wanted to get up there. I don't think anybody who's on stage did start as a fan first.
No, man, and we all have our ups and downs. I read Steven Tyler's autobiography years ago, and one of the things that stuck out with me in all the rock books I've read, yours included, Steven said, if you're not able to ride the ups and downs of the career, do something else, because it's not all going to be cherries. You're going to have those lean years. And around the time you were starting the Strangeland project in the 90s, and we've talked about this before, but, I was never a Fairweather fan. I was there for you and I know like you were with Alice during his lean years. Either you're a fan or you're not. And it's weird to be sitting here talking to you, like for me as such a fan, but to you, it's like, it's another day at the office.
Dude, I remember we were didn't have a deal yet. I was with my manager. He was a local promoter, but turned manager, and we were going to I don't know where we were going. It doesn't matter. We're in New York City. He goes, I got to stop off, make a couple stops. I said, cool. So he stops at a bank, he makes a withdrawal, and then we go to a hotel. And he goes, I said, what are we doing? He goes, I'm meeting somebody. And a few minutes later, Steven Tyler walks into the lobby. I'm talking heroin, cracked out. Steven, he's at the bottom. They're playing bars.
Yeah.
Joe's out of the band. We're seeing, okay, this is, and he comes over and he says, hey, man, what's going on? I don't know if I'd met him before or not. Maybe I had. But, and my manager gives him like 10 G's in cash. And he, thanks, Mark. And he's just fucked up. And he walks off. And I said, dude, you are never going to see that money again. He goes, Dee, was a promoter, and he had Aerosmith. That was his band in the Northeast. He said, I made so much money off of that band. If I never see it, I owe him more than that. But I saw Steven living in a hotel in New York City, just at the bottom of his career. Just nice thing. He did pay Mark back. Of course, we all know he came out of it. And I spoke to Mark. He says he sent me 10 G's. He paid me back.
It's an amazing story.
Basically, he was just buying him drugs back then,
John told him when he signed him to Geffen, it was Geffen. He said, you got one chance. I'm giving you one, and don't mess it up. And luckily they didn't. Pre-chorus 2. Same instrumentation here, but the bass guitar is more gallopy, and AJ does a big tom roll here before the band stops. When it's like this, I feel the music shooting through me. There's nothing else that I would rather do.
Yeah, man. I mean, probably in that particular, this moments in time, there was a moment on stage, and there was moments on stage where literally would feel like the amps were just hitting me in the back and just coming out of my body, like the power of the Marshall stacks, and you probably know the feeling, but you're playing it. You're not the singer, right? You play guitar too, right?
I play guitar and sing. Yeah.
So I didn't play guitar. So I would just stand there in these moments, and at times I just have my arms out, and I would just feel like that. I feel the music shooting through me. I can remember one moment in particular. It was like, whoa, and I'm not high. I'm going, yes. This is it, and there I captured it in verse, You
know what, though? It's weird, and I'm going to bring it up again because most of my heroes were, alcoholic drug addicts. I mean, in bands, they just were. And before you even said it, I could always feel that it was about the music with you. That came across as a 12, 13-year-old kid. I could feel that. It was no surprise that you were a sober guy. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but I could feel that in the music. When I'd look at some of these guys, no matter how outrageous you looked, you didn't look like some of the other guys that were obviously going through substance abuse.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying nobody else is intense, but I definitely had an intensity, and I was trying to get the message out. I was screaming in the night. I had nobody who to help me, lift me up when I felt I was getting my ass kicked by life. And I wanted with my music, there's not sex and drugs in these songs. It's all about believing yourself, fighting back, standing up, pushing back. And I was communicating that with my words, which I spit like bullets, and enunciate, which you commented on.
Oh, yeah.
And with my roar, I've got a very, very loud voice. It's partially due to the size of my head, and it resonates. And I wanted people to get my message. Drugs and alcohol clouded things for me. I got drunk once, never did drugs. So I tried to get drunk, really drunk, and was just 14 on the floor vomiting. And I said, this does not work for me. I need to be focused at all times. For whatever reason, I've got to get this message out here. So yeah, you picked up. You were right. I'm glad you felt that in the way I was communicating to you. This guy can not be this focused and be fucked up.
And your tenacity when the band broke up for the first time in the 80s, and what you did in those 15 years before the band came back, you were doing everything. You were putting flyers on cars for your wife's, a hair business. You did whatever it took to be a family man and be that guy. That in and of itself, we could talk about a whole other podcast. I love that. But I do believe had you been using during that time period, we wouldn't be talking right now. I think it would have been disastrous.
100%. And, it's those moments that particular, when the bottom fell out, they found a cure for what I was doing. And I used all the money up, and I can't blame anybody but me. It's like, well, you have two choices. Take your own life, and that's been done before, or just pick yourself up and do whatever it takes to fix this. And that's what I did. Riding a bike to a job, answering phones at a desk job, flyering cars, like you said, for my wife, doing wedding makeup, whatever I had to, whatever it took, we did. She was in my, had my back, of course. But yeah, so, and you're right. If I did drugs, that would have been a really good time to do too much.
Yeah, for sure.
And just let it take its course and join the 27 club or whatever it is.
Well, we touched on this last time, that intro of that march of We're Not Going to Take It with AJ. And I want to give another shout out to AJ here. This pre-chorus, man, this march, dent, 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 it's staccato with the band. There could have been 100 different drummers that played on this song. There is, between that gallop and the way that AJ pushes but lays back at the same time. I know that's kind of contradictory, but he's a fantastic drummer. He never got the credit he deserves.
No, he didn't. And he was a child prodigy. He studied with Gene Krupa.
Yeah.
I remember seeing pictures of him at 12 with little Tony Pirro and his orchestra under the Eiffel Tower with a full, it was a swing band, horns, and orchestra. And he's on the riser on top, this little kid wearing a suit with a bow tie under the Eiffel Tower. Okay, that's little Tony Pirro. So he was a child prodigy. He was incredibly talented. He loved being a Twisted Sister, but was frustrated that he was saying, I made him play like a monkey. I was very big in keeping it simple, keep it straight. AC/DC was my inspiration. I liked, just kick drum and snare drum and that, just rocking. But when you're paying attention, you, like Ringo Starr in his own way, you hear these things that he did. When he played live, he was a lot more open and he had his way. And this is why, Mike Portnoy is a huge AJ Pirro fan. Mike Portnoy is one of the most decorated, greatest drummers in history, period. AJ is one of his favorite drummers. He stepped in for AJ and filled in for AJ and did not play. He listened to AJ playing live and he copied everything AJ did. He did not do one variation, not one hit different than AJ Pirro. And that was him honoring AJ. I swear, having him up on stage, I was like, wow, this is like having AJ behind me because he studied AJ, he played AJ, and just even more of a compliment. So he said, so you want to do a solo? He said, I will not do a solo.
Yeah.
This is not about me. This is about AJ. So what we did on that final tour is we had a video screen, and one of the final shows AJ ever played with us, we had actually filmed, and we'd go into the solo part of Burning Hell, screen would come down, and AJ would take the drum solo. And people would be crying in the audience, crying.
Yeah.
Because it was a beautiful gesture on Mike's part, and just shows what a classy guy he is, but also the respect for the talent that he knew AJ had. And I think that actually the fact that Mike did that made a lot of drummers go, wait a minute, take a second look.
I think it did. I think it did, because he's one of the cream of the crops. You're talking about progressive metal drumming. It doesn't get better than Portnoy. I mean, the guy's insane. He's insane. Yeah, and to be able, I think a lot of guys like that. There were a lot of great drummers from the 80s that got kind of, pushed behind this pop song or this metal song. And you to the casual listener, it was a simple drum beat. But even in I Want to Rock, there's just nuances where he's at on the hi-hat, where he goes to the cymbal. It's awesome. It's so cool.
I said to AJ, because AJ, I said, AJ, I said, yeah, you're not known for your prowess. Because he played post-Twisted bands. He was in progressive bands and all, technical player. He was all, he could do anything. But I said, AJ, how many drummers have created a beat that is known instantaneously by the world the minute they hear it? There's a handful. Honky Tonk Women. Charlie Watts, right?
We will rock you.
We will rock you. American Band, Grand Funk Railroad, that opening of the right. And I said, and we're not going to take it, dude. I said, you see it, I see it. I call it smiles at the speed of sound. The I would watch a festival crowd, 75,000 people, and I'd see their faces. The minute you go, boom, boom, and would go whoop, it would go from the front to the back. As the sound hit their ears, they knew exactly what was coming next. I said, dude, other drummers could play their ass, do whatever they did. They don't have that.
Goosebumps for days, man. I'm full.
I'm getting it out too because it's true.
Yeah,
it just and that'll live forever.
And also, can we give props to AJ for being the second least good looking in the band behind Mark Mendoza? Yeah, you were about third, D. You weren't the worst.
I know. Yeah, I had a bunch of dudes in front of me in the audience. It was Eddie and JJ used to have some girls in front of them, but not
I used to stare at the back cover of Stay Hungry at Mendoza and go, how did anybody let this guy in the band? I mean, wow. His look was ferocious.
You know his history though, right? You know he's from the Dictators.
Of course, yeah.
And when they weren't on the road, because they were out touring Manifest Destiny and touring with Kiss and the Cult, he would come down to see Twisted on his nights off, and so we came to know each other. And become friends. And then when he left Dictators, he said, "Hey, do you need a roadie?" I was like, "A roadie, dude? You just came off the Kiss tour." He goes, "Yeah." He says, "I'm not in a band right now. I ain't working a day job. And if I can't play in a band, I'll work for a band." And he started crewing for Twisted Sister to his, and then when our bass player left because he became a born again Christian, Mark just stepped in. It was just, he was ready to go.
I love that. Well, chorus 2, pretty much the same as chorus 1 in the intro. I want to rock 4 times with that big gang vocal, and then we get into the bridge. As far as 80s rock anthems go, D, this bridge encapsulates it all. Big drum hits with stereo guitars and bass. Again, it's the accents here and the feel that are so cool. AJ's going to the hi-hat for a little bit and then the toms for this part. And basically it's just, I want to rock, 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 rock. Back and forth for about, I don't know, probably 16 to 24 bars here. Near the very end, we get this big snare fill that starts on the end and continues through the guitar solo, which we're going to get into in a second. But this bridge part, was it ever anything more? Did it have to be anything more? I mean, it's perfect.
It's so funny to think at that time, I didn't think it was anything wrong with saying rock 78 times. I mean, can we fit I probably in my mind was saying, can we fit a few more in?
Did Tom Werman, Jeff Workman, JJ French, anybody be like, hey, we're going to go to the bridge here. Maybe let's leave rock. Let's come back to it for the chorus because, man, it's just... And I never thought about this growing up. It never dawned on me. When I saw the Chris sent over the notes from me, my producer, and it said 78 times to some DJ, I said, there's no way. So, of course, I had to go count them, and it is 78 times. But was there ever any discussion with this part? Hey, we got to back off or no?
No, it's so funny. Like, do you put a traditional release or bridge in there, like one of those change-up parts where it's like a whole different melody for a second, and then you go back to the original song? I just in arranging it, I'm sure and I think the band was on board. I don't remember anybody say, because it was a democracy back then at that point. So nobody questioned, this is where the audience gets to scream rock. And every time when I perform this live, I'd be like, all right, it's all you. And because we don't chant, we let the audience do it. And the place roars, I mean, it's...
Well, I know you've done like Wacken Fest and you've done like Hellfest and Hurricane and those festivals. This part, okay, when it comes up, every fist, I mean, no one's sick of it at all.
we did the Yukon Cornelius. Last gig we did was Ocean's Calling. Ocean's Calling in Maryland. that big festival right on the beach down there, OAR. They put the show on. And we did a lot of the guys from UConn were playing that night. Bare Naked Ladies and Guster and Dave Matthews Band. So we decided to do an impromptu. They said, Dee, will you come down? We're going to do an impromptu UConn reunion during the OAR set. So I said, okay. So we came down. There's 75,000 alt music people. All day long I'm watching. I've never been to an alt, if that's what you call it, jam bands. I've never been to one of their concerts. And boy, it's very hippie. I was like, wow, is that still a thing? It's like a Grateful Dead dancing. It was 75,000 people. We came out on stage. I came out on stage. And we did We're Not Going to Take It and I Want to Rock and then Highway to Hell. Dude, to see those 75,000 hippies suddenly rock, like fists in the air, horns in the air, screaming at the top of their lungs, and they'd never done that in their life. It just, they couldn't help themselves. I remember Ed from Bare Naked Ladies going, that's Dee fucking Snider, because I'm able to conduct a crowd like that. I know how to handle a crowd like that, but I don't think any of them expected to be singing We're Not Going to Take It to the top of their lungs on that day. But here they were screaming for all they were worth in a way they'd never done before. It's the spirit of the song. And I'm glad these two songs, We're Not Going to Take It and I Want to Rock, they live on,
Oh my gosh, they for sure live on. Out of this bridge, we get into a 16-bar guitar solo. It's the chorus progression here, and Eddie. I'm assuming Eddie is this is his solo there, correct?
So Eddie, an underrated guitar player. There's some people out there. When people say, "What do you have any my complaint about the way Twisted Sister is regarded?" And I said, it's just that many people think we were pedaling as fast as we could. Like we played what we played because it's all we could play. And I said, we played what we played because it's what we loved. I was a classically trained countertenor. I did a show on Broadway where in the middle of the show, I sang opera. The audience lip every night would just go, what the whole actual fuck? Okay? Yeah. Because I sing the way I sing because it's what I want, how I want to sing. JJ is an accomplished blues player. Mark the Animal Mendoza could play any kind of music. He plays in a country band. He plays in all kinds of bands. He played Mark the Animal Mendoza pounding on his bass. And Eddie was Dieter Dierks, Dieter Dierks, the great producer of the Scorpions and Accept. He produced Twisted. He said, the best hands I've ever seen on any guitar players in my career is Michael Schenker and Eddie Ojeda.
Wow.
Okay, that's after working in the studio with Eddie. Leslie West, legendary guitar player from Mountain, said to me, Dee, I carry two guitar picks in my wallet, Eddie Van Halen and Eddie Ojeda. Okay, so Eddie never got the respect that from the masses because he wasn't that guy, Hammer-On's guy. But great hands, great player. And a lot of times he would choose less is more. Like, we're not going to take it. Choose, you know what? I'm going to play the chorus. Again, I'm not going to sit there and do Hammer-Ons. And it wasn't like the coolest thing, but it was right he did what was right for the song. So here he's coming in and he's going to do a solo. And I said to him, at that time, we were recording this in 1983, end of 83, going into 84. Yeah. I said, nobody's really using a wah-wah anymore. What about doing a wah-wah solo? And he said, you think? I said, yeah, man. I think just to make it pop, something a little bit different than the rest of the stuff. Because he doesn't use a wah-wah on anything else. I don't think on any song we ever did. I mean, there's people now, like, in Metallica, whatever, there's people who Kirk, he hammers on the wah-wah, but he holds it in a certain position. He's not doing a tradition. He doesn't use wah-wah like wacka, 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 which is the old
Zakk Wylde too.
Yeah, they're using it for the wah, 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 wah. They're using it for that, which that's no criticism. I'm just saying, Eddie, I said, Eddie's from his child of the 60s and 70s. I said, wah solo, man. And he went in there and I don't know, he got one out, dusted it off. I don't remember what kind it was because we didn't use them. They weren't being used.
Yeah.
We wasn't using it. And he just lays out a wicked wah solo. It's great.
It's absolutely perfect. And after this solo, we don't get a stop. We go straight into chorus 3. No stop this time, D. But same thing. We get I Want to Rock 4 times with a call and response. But after each rock, we get a little lead guitar fill, little lead guitar lick that's coming in there. Yeah. It's the same tone as the solo, and then that, of course, follows us into the chorus tag outro. I want to rock, rock. I want to rock, 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 rock. That continues, and the whole band there starts to fade. The drums go to double time on the snare here. This part is just driving at the end of the song, and the lead guitar continues to solo underneath the band. This whole chorus is a slow fade out, as I had just mentioned, and the very end, when it almost fades, D, I had my speakers turned up as loud as I could, my headphones, because it's getting the barely audible 78th rock in there before the track ends. There is a 78th.
You know, I've had time to ponder the fade ending, and in pondering, I realized that the idea is that somewhere Twisted Sister is still rocking. Like rocking doesn't, it doesn't, are we going to do an end? No, it doesn't end because rock goes on forever. You can't stop rock and roll. Rock, rock, rock. And it just goes and goes and goes and goes. So,
do you know how many times I've thought that? I'm freaking out right now that you said that. I've never been able to articulate that. And I was going to say it before you said that. This song fades, but then I immediately think again of I Want to Rock, which is the top of the song. So to your point, it never goes away.
Trust me, we probably rocked for another 5 minutes because they would until they said cut, and they always wanted you to keep playing the fade because they didn't know how long they wanted it to be. So I'm sure at some point we're all looking at each other going, we're going to keep this keeps going. How long are we rocking for? Even I was going, this is too many rocks. We're in the thousands now. So, and we do this live. This is the audience participation song. So it breaks down and then it goes into the gallop and then the crowd starts clapping. And then I rap to the crowd. And right now the rap's short. When we first started doing it, I had to explain it to them, but now they know what to do. I said, when I say rock, you yell rock. When I say rock, you yell rock. When I say rock, you yell rock. Okay, here we go. Let's try it one time. And I want to rock. All right, that sucks. And that always gets a laugh out of the crowd. But the fact that it goes on. So if the live versions, we must do it 150 times because it just keeps on rocking.
So before we break, I got to ask, it's on record that Tom Werman really wasn't into We're Not Going to Take It. What did he think of I Want to Rock when this was all put together and you had the final mix?
Go back to the demo stages. He didn't want either song on the record.
Oh my God. This one too.
I Want to Rock, specifically, I Want to Rock and We're Not Going to Take It. This is what he did not want on the album. Why? We're not going to take it. That's kind of sing. I said, dude, I remember this is in a basement in a rehearsal studio. We used to rehearse and demoing. He's in a folding chair. I'm kneeling next to him so that he can hear me because the guys are like tuning up, whatever. I go, dude, it's going to be much more intense than that. That's what makes it great is that it's a sing along. It's catchy.
Yeah,
it's going to be great. He goes, and then I said, and I want to rock. I said, I want to rock. That's a hit. He goes, that's that whole Molly Hatchet thing. He had produced Molly Hatchet. It was one of the first bands, and they did their own Gallup. They were a Southern rock Gallup, and I was like, no, these songs are really important. And it literally goes, if you want them that bad, fine. So it's up to you. I don't want them on the record, but if you want them on the record, fine.
It's unreal because, I mean, I love the whole record. My two favorite songs on the record when I was a kid and probably still are was I Want to Rock and Burn in Hell. But we're not going to take it's undeniable. Undeniable. Stay Hungry, the title track's undeniable. How he did not want I Want to Rock on the record is the ultimate head scratcher.
And he's heard me talk about him, and he tries to engage me. I never let him. He's a fucking silly old man.
I've seen his retorts.
Yeah, he retorts. But in his retort on MTV, when they interviewed him, he said it. He goes, "Yeah, but we're not going to take it as, you know." He said it, and I say right before he says that, I go, he said to me, "Oh, it's just na 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 na," and then he backs it up and goes,
He said it.
"Yeah, but it's really just na 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 na." Meanwhile, 8 million albums sold worldwide, and he gets his fucking 4 points on that in perpetuity.
Yeah.
You know how much money he made?
Oh, I'm aware.
Yeah,
that's
what these producers get?
Yeah. They take points off the top before we see anything.
Off the top. Exactly,
Yes.
people.
Off
You don't
the
understand.
top.
If you get a 12-point deal, and I think we had a 10-point deal or an 8, whatever it was, he was getting 4 points.
Yes.
Out of our 10. So, I mean,
Yeah.
and then everything else comes out of there. So we didn't see any money from record sales with millions of albums sold until when we reunited for Strangeland, and we did a song called Heroes Are Hard to Find.
Mm-hmm.
And my manager, who was actually the guy who signed Twisted Sister, Phil Carson, he went to Ahmet Erdogan, and we still owed hundreds of thousands of dollars. Tour support, recording budgets, everything, videos, because our videos were the first of the super expensive videos coming out our end. We're talking 1997. The band had broken up in 87. We hadn't seen a penny in royalties from sales of the albums. And Phil went in and said to Ahmet, I think these guys have paid, Atlantic's made enough money off these guys. Can they start getting some royalties? And Ahmet wiped our slate. Otherwise,
I love it.
We may still have been there, still paying off those whatever bullshit.
Yeah. Well, before we break, I have to say something. Last thing about this song is that, and I'm sure this has happened. If I were to go anywhere in the world, maybe the person can't tell me, because this could be in a desert in the Middle East. If I said to somebody, we're not gonna take it, or I want to rock, there's a chance these songs they're in the fabric of society, that they're so well known.
It's to, as that same manager said to me, Phil, and I have very few friends from the business. He signed us to the shittiest deal at Atlantic, but it was the only deal that was being offered to us, and he was straight up front. He goes, they don't want to sign you guys. Doug Morris rejected you 5 times. He's saying I'm insane for signing you guys anyway. And we do it. So, I mean, and I love Phil to death. But he said,
yeah,
my boy, English gentleman, he goes, if you're only going to have 2 hits, make them doozies. And they have got their, especially when I'm going to take it, I think it can be categorized as a folk song at this point. It transcends the genre. It transcends, everybody knows it. I saw on YouTube a stadium, 100,000 Indians, not in Middle Eastern, from India, at a soccer match singing "We're Not Going to Take It."
I know.
At a football match. And they don't know I wrote the song. They don't know who sang the song, but they know the damn song. And that is just, here's a song that basically I was pissed off at the world. And that feeling, came through. And I know we're rambling on here, but I think about AI, and AI killing songwriting now and creating now, whatever. But can AI ever live through what I lived through or what you lived through, to feel the human emotion of true anger, true frustration, true fury that inspired "We're Not Going to Take It"? Or true heartbreak that inspired many a ballad. That it can read about those feelings. It can read a gazillion books about people who have had those feelings, but AI is never going to have those feelings. So could it? Right, we're not going to take it because damn man, and I want to rock because I was mad as hell and I wasn't taking it anymore. And those songs were inspired from that anger, frustration, and just years of being suppressed and pushed down and feeling like people were stopping me. Now, AI will never experience that.
I think that's kind of the same thing that, you know, when I was growing up, it's like, okay, there's little Johnny. He went and bought $600 of baseball equipment, but the kid can't play. You know, here's this band that got Bob Rock to produce their record. Oh, the product sounds good. There's good tones, but there's no songs there. You know, and this is kind of cut from the same cloth. It's like, if you haven't lived this, I believed every word you said as a kid. I still believe it when I listen to these records. And what I mean by that is that this was some dude pouring his heart and soul out. There's other records that didn't catch on to the public. Maybe they sounded good. Maybe the lyric was all right, but the listener, I would say this so much on this show. If I don't believe it, then it's not for me.
Yeah, so go bring this full circle to one of our earliest conversations today, and that's the 10,000 hours. Unfortunately, that's not going to give you that.
Right.
You will master the guitar. You will master songwriting.
Yeah.
But the soul that the Eric Claptons and the Eddie Van Halens and these guitar players have is something coming from another place. And the spirit of We're Not Going to Take It and I Want to Rock comes from that oppression that I felt from life. That knowing how to put a song together, that came from the 10,000 hours. But the feeling that I'm able to send the message, the communication, talking to you, Chris, talking to the audience, and having them believe what I'm saying, 10,000 hours ain't going to give you that. So, but you'll be really good at what you do.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, I didn't mention this at the top, but this is our 6-year anniversary episode. So this is the first week in June here,
Bravo.
And we've been going for 6 years. Thank you. And it was an honor to have you back. And before we break, I know we talked a little bit at the top about retiring, but I know you're never going to fully retire. What else is going on with you?
I started a film studio called Defiant Artists. And I've partnered with some major Hollywood heavyweights. And I'm directing my first movie for Defiant. The reason I cross the fingers because cast can always throw a wrench. You know, if you want to get a certain person and they're not available, you have to say, well, maybe we'll wait a little longer. But right now, August pre-production, September, we're filming My Enemy's Enemy. And it'll be the first of, I'm planning with this new studio of here in North Carolina for that reason of, releasing 3 to 5 movies for starters a year between acquisitions and movies that we produce. So I got my, creatively, I'm energized more than ever. And, I can sit and tell people what to do in my director's chair all day long. And I just don't have to jump around for 90 minutes. I'm good.
I love that. Well, I told you this over a text. I don't know when you first went public with not going out on the 50-year tour, and I texted you. I was one of those people. I'm like, dude, are you okay? I kind of had a freak out, and you put your time in, man. Everything you've done, always a fan, and I think the world of you.
Thank you, Chris. I feel your love. I felt it from the first time you interviewed me all those years ago. Remember that?
Yeah. Details Magazine, 1997.
97, dude.
No, take that back. It was September of 98. It's when Strangeland came out.
That's 30 plus years, right?
28, 29 years. Yeah. And in fact, I may have said this in the last episode, but you were staying at the Sunset Marquee. And I had walked into your room and we started doing the interview for Details Magazine. And your assistant came in from the other room and said, Dee, you got a phone call. And you said, oh, I'm sorry, man. You got up and it was Howard Stern calling you for Strangeland.
Yeah. That's so weird.
My mind was blown. Blown.
Having Dee back on the show was an amazing way to celebrate 6 years of Chris DeMakes a Podcast. I hope you agree. I hope you enjoyed that conversation. And I hope you don't go anywhere because we got lots more Chris DeMakes a Podcast coming right up after a few words from our sponsors.
Study and play come together on a Windows 11 PC.
And for a limited time, college students get
the best of both worlds.
Get the Unreal College Deal. Everything you need to study and play with select Windows 11 PCs. Eligible students get a year of Microsoft 365 Premium and a year of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate with a custom color Xbox wireless controller. Learn more at windows.com/student offer. While supplies last. Ends June 30th. Terms at aka.ms/collegepc.
Expedia and Visit Scotland invite you to come experience the beauty that awaits in Scotland. The sweep of wild coastlines, quiet lochs, and untamed landscapes. Fresh cuisine that feels rooted in the land. Come experience the kind of stillness that stays with you long after you leave. Plan your Scottish escape today at expedia.com/Visit Scotland.
Experience a membership that backs your business journey with American Express Business Platinum. Earn 5 times membership rewards points on flights and prepaid hotels booked on AmexTravel.com. Plus, apply to find out your welcome offer, which could be as high as 300,000 membership rewards points. American Express Business Platinum. There's nothing like it. Terms apply. Welcome offers vary, and you may not be eligible for an offer. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-platinum.
When you think like an athlete, setbacks don't stop you. But mindset alone doesn't get you moving again. That's where Icy Hot steps in. Ice works fast. Heat makes it last. So when the rest of the world settles because of a setback, Icy Hot accelerates your comeback with fast-acting, powerful pain relief. Icy Hot. You're so back.
This episode is brought to you by Credit Karma. When it comes to your money, Credit Karma keeps you ahead of the game. You can count on Credit Karma to keep up with your financial needs as they evolve, helping you monitor your progress and giving you personalized recommendations so you can make strides towards your goals. Make sure you're on the right track, no matter where you are on your financial journey. Intuit Credit Karma. Karma you can count on. Download today.
Chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more, can make me feel like a spectator in my own life.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It's the #1 prescribed branded chronic migraine preventive treatment.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com, or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
Do you like music, learning about good music, and laughing at bad music? Well, I have the show for you. I'm Chris DeMakes a Podcast producer, Chris Fafalius, and my One Hit Thunder co-host, Matt Kelly, and I are 300-plus episodes deep into revisiting one-hit wonders to decide if they deserve a second listen or should stay safely buried in your memory. We give every artist a fair shot, roast them when necessary, and when a band or artist is actually really good, we officially certify them Thunder, and maybe someday we'll even get around to sending out those notarized certificates. Basically, it's an incredibly fun music podcast, so smash that subscribe button on One Hit Thunder wherever you get your pods.
As we near the end of the show, here's a band you might not know.
Welcome to this week's Band You Might Not Know. If you'd like your band to be considered for Chris DeMakes a Podcast, email your best song via MP3 only and a short bio to bandyoumightnotknow@gmail.com. This week's featured artist is Spankshaft, a high-energy ska punk band out of Joshua Tree, California, with brothers Brandon and Brent Simpson on vocals, guitar, and bass, Russ Waldron on drums, and a three-piece horn section of Bill Barrett on the trumpet, Andy Wood on the trombone, and Lori Natsaway on the saxophone. Their latest release is Beasts and Goddesses, available on Bandcamp and all streaming platforms. I recently met Brent at a Less Than Jake show, and he could not have been kinder. Here's a snippet of their song, 26.
I'm already on your breath and in your veins. I don't know how to feel when you're not around. So are we gonna talk all night, or are we gonna do something about? Don't sleep when I'm by myself. I died 26 times. This is the first time I have felt.
The Wrap with Chris and Chris.
Well, Chris, first and foremost, I'm glad Dee Snider is not dying. I'm glad he cleared that up right away.
Me too. And something I didn't say to you when we started rolling earlier. Happy 6th anniversary, Chris.
Yes, today is 6 years. We started this on this day, June 1st. Of 2020, 6 years ago. So yes, another milestone. There's just we just had our 300th episode not that long ago. Now it's 6 years. It's just milestone after milestone here on Chris Makes a Podcast, Chris.
No, when we started rolling today, and I don't know if this is going to be edited into the episode, right when Dee first came on, I thanked him profusely. Thank you so much. And he just nonchalantly said, he's like, man, I got you in my phone, stop being the weird super fan. And when he said that, I had to fight back tears. I thought of my father. I thought of riding in his car, listening to this record when I was a kid. And man, it just was like, boom, right there.
Yeah, I mean, dude, after we finished recording, Dee literally invited you to come to his house sometime. So I don't know if you're going to take him up on it or not. But the invite was nice.
I don't think I'd have the cojones to knock on Dee Snider's door. But yeah, thank you for the invite, Dee. I love you.
Yeah. I thought it was, dude, when he was talking about why he decided to step away, he said something where I'm like, whoa, that's profound. He said, reunion shows, when they're good, they make you feel young again. But when they're bad, they make you feel old. And the fact that he was like, I can't perform the way I used to, and knew that and decided himself to step away, I think that's awesome.
Yeah, my uncle was in his mid-30s, and there wasn't a bigger Kiss fan in the 70s than he was. And when Kiss came back in 1996 for their reunion with all 4 original members in makeup, I remember him telling me, he's like, I felt like I was at Cobo Hall in 1978. Like that feeling, and yeah, I think Dee's right. We've seen reunion tours kind of, go to the wayside that weren't great. And the ones that are great, they're able to capture that sentiment.
Definitely. And it's also funny, Chris, that you and I, before Dee got here, you and I were talking about how it's the music that matters. There's all these other things when you're in a band, especially when you're younger and in a band. You're thinking about the party and the women and the drugs or whatever's going on, drinking. And when it comes down to it, it's the music that matters. And I think that it's really impressive that with Dee, it was always that way. It was the music. He wasn't a party guy. The party was the show. The party was the songs. And I think that there's such an authenticity to that. That's so awesome. It's always been that way with him.
There is. And, but looking past the silliness of the costumes and whatever. And, I don't know if this song would have been a hit back in 84 had the outrageous look not been part of their thing. It was the 80s. Everything was bombastic and crazy. But just peeling back the layers and just looking at what he's saying here. And he's right. There's no songs about women and partying. And it was all partying in the sense of we're partying because we're at the show. We're living through the music. The songs are what it's about. And I love that. I have no problems with the songs that are about everything else and the drinking and all that. Those can be fun too. But I always admired that about Twisted Sister.
I loved also that he said he works off a list of song titles. Like you start with the title of the song. This is the overarching theme and you take it from there. I think that's such a fun way. I talked to you about this before, where someone else in the band will send me, they have a piece of music, but it doesn't have lyrics or vocals on it yet, but they titled it something. How many times I've taken that random title that they named it, and then I'm inspired by that title to like try to write something based on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the way Dee was writing on these planes and like in headphones with these cheap cassette recordings he was making, just his voice, because remember, he's not an accomplished player. I don't even know if he knows how to put a chord together, but basically he's just like would hum these ideas. The fact that he could get that out of his head, I think I mentioned that in the last time he was here for We're Not Going to Take It. It's incredible that he could articulate that to his band members and these songs could come out of them. I think that's so cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. Now, this is kind of not related to that. It's kind of the opposite of that in certain ways, but you guys did talk about the 10,000 hour rule. And I think we have to give Malcolm Gladwell credit because that is the guy who wrote the book called Outliers, The Story of Success. Basically, he claims that the key to achieving world-class expertise in any skill is a matter of practicing that thing for a total of around 10,000 hours. And look, people call Malcolm Gladwell out like, this isn't true. You don't need to, that's not. But here's what it comes down to. I pulled out the calculator. It's basically like the equivalent of doing something for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for 5 years. Mm-hmm. Then you can master that thing if you stick with something. And that sounds pretty reasonable.
Well, let me tell you something. From 1992 to 1997, go listen to my band's recordings and the trajectory of what happened in those 5 years. And that 20,000 rule, I'll say, was applied there. We were constantly working on our craft. I wish I was that prolific still. Life takes over, your joys as a younger person. I'm sure Dee is not as hungry today as he was when he wrote this from a standpoint of music. There's other things that take over, but to go back to this time period right there, or for me, back those first 5 years of my band or your band, it was all about the songs, all about the music constantly. And I was more prolific probably in those 5 years than ever, our band.
Yeah, but unrelated to that is how when Dee talks about writing a song, that it was coming from the heart. You could feel the passion in it. And even like you said, even if he wasn't proficient in some musical instrument, he knew how to write a song and it was coming from a real place. And that is something, man, I loved he talked about it, because you're not going to find a person who's more vocal about how much he hates AI than me. So when Dee's talking about that, he's absolutely right that you can't replace the heart in something just because this thing can spit out a soulless piece of music or art or whatever, that it will never be able to create what Dee and anybody we know that creates real music can do.
We saw and we still see it. You'll always see it. Doesn't matter if it's in pop culture, toys, something is a hit. Someone's going to try to capitalize and make something else off of it. But to your point, how many times more often than not, it fails. It's like, oh, this is a ripoff of that, but it's not as good. And it sounds phony. I'll use that word. It just doesn't sound believable.
Yeah, for sure. I also think, Dee talked about his wife, Suzette, and he had a couple friends that he called out as far as the people that were always in his corner and telling him you should never give up. And man, that's how I am too. If someone's a naysayer or wants to criticize me for my life choices, they are out of my life so fast. Even if I'm wrong, and I'll say that in quotes, even if I'm wrong and I should give up on something, I don't want to be around someone who tells me to give up if I'm passionate about something. And Dee knew who those people were in his life, and I think it's so cool that his wife was that person. It's probably why they've been together for all these years.
Absolutely. What wasn't a fair weather, through thick and thin, through sickness and health, she took that vow, and that's a testament to that. When his band, when Twisted first broke up in 87, I mean, he was a 4-letter word. He was typecast as this guy from Twisted Sister, and he had a rough 15 years of it, but no one did back then. No one had a crystal ball that everything comes in cycles, that eventually he's going to have his turn again. But man, those years where he talked about going out and flying cars, he's not embarrassed of it. That was just what it was. And I knew a lot of that story. I was following him through the 90s, and I was still a fan, but it was definitely tough. But what a great guest to have us ring in the 6th year here.
Dude, these songs, you said it to him, We're Not Gonna Take It and I Want to Rock are basically standards at this point. These sound like songs that have always existed. Like I don't know if this is a thing, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were singing this in like a Minions movie or something. As they're just songs that still exist. Everybody knows them. I feel like people are still going to know these songs 50 years from now. They're just like folk standards or something.
Yeah, and I can almost guarantee it, when Dee goes to the proverbial mailbox every couple of months for those royalty checks, that these songs are bigger now than they've ever been, and good for him, and if tomorrow I heard I Want to Rock on a Tums commercial, I'd be stoked for Dee.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's happened, Chris. I'm sure that these have been used in lots of things, and why not?
Yeah.
But Chris, I've really enjoyed making this podcast for 6 years with you. I hope that we do it for another 6 and another 6 after that.
I love it too, man. Chris, eventually someday the whole world is going to catch on to how awesome our podcast is, To all you listening right now, you guys are already in the know. We know that you know. And if you are a regular listener of this show, you know that we like to read out, I should say, your reviews. And Chris has one pulled up. These are reviews on Apple and Spotify. And your reviews keep the wheels turning here.
Chris, as far as keeping this podcast going, I think an important thing is to get younger listeners. And I have one from a younger listener this week. And when I read this, I'm like, hell yeah, because it doesn't matter if you're 17 or 77, you could still love songs, love the art of songwriting. And we actually got one from a young person this week. Yeah. It was from Queen Blockhead, who gave us 5 stars and wrote, loving it, and said, just listen to your latest episode with Will Gold. Lovejoy has been my favorite band since 2023, and I was absolutely hooked. I'm a 17-year-old girl that's been unofficially studying music for nearly 9 years, and the way you broke things down was so easily digestible and engaging. Safe to say, you've gained a new fan of the show.
Yay! Well, thank you, Queen Blockhead.
Queen Blockhead.
Well, thank you, Queen Blockhead. That is awesome. And yeah, to your point, we don't care if you're 17 or 77. If you want to rock, you have a perfect place to come make that happen. And another place to make things happen is ChrisDeMakes.com. That is where our Patreon sits, where you can go over there and sign up for bonus episodes of the After Party, Defeat DeMakes, the game show where you can take yours truly on in a rock and roll trivia match, and a bunch of other goodies. Head over to ChrisDeMakes.com, and for like $5 a month, you can get all of that and more. And Chris, once again, 6 years, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, you too, man. This is a lot of fun. And yeah, there's lots more fun. Chris said it at ChrisDeMakes.com. That's our Patreon. Every time someone joins our Patreon, we are that much closer to being able to do this forever for the rest of our lives. Right now we got to depend on some sponsors and some luck here and there. But yes, your direct support is very appreciated.
Yeah, Tums, we're talking to you. Give us some money. My stomach hurts.
I've used Tums.
Oh, I used to live on them when I was drinking. But all right, Twisted Sister, I Want to Rock. We have it now in the encyclopedia of Chris DeMakes a Podcast. It's going to live forever. We have the story. Thanks to this week's guest. Thanks to you for listening. 6 years. Thanks to Dee Snider for sitting in with us. We'll catch you next week. Hey, friends. Have you been loving Chris DeMakes a Podcast? Well, spread the love by leaving a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't hesitate to share what you enjoy about the show in an actual written review on Apple Podcasts. Not only does it help more people discover us, but we often read reviews in the rap segment of the show. It's a quick, cost-free way to support us and takes just a minute of your time. Your reviews mean the world to us and help us keep the podcast thriving. Thank you for being a listener, and thank you for being a friend.
Every act of change begins with a neighbor, with someone saying,
"We take care of each other here."
In food banks and food pantries, neighbors pack fresh food and dignity into every box, moving food from farms to families through Feeding America's nationwide network. So when that box reaches a home, it carries more than food. It carries a promise that together we can end hunger. Feeding America, led by neighbors. Give now to end hunger at feedingamerica.org.